My name is Lindsay Black. I was born in Springsure in 1930 on the 24th of April. So on the 24th of April this month I'll be 76. My mother her people come from Scotland, and her father come from Scotland, and her mother is a purse house from Narrabee down near Gladstone. And my mother was a full-blooded Aboriginal. This is her country. She was come off a station about, I'd say, 12 miles from here, where they took her off there. And she had dad to a Pommy bloke called Ramsay McCullum Black in 1887. He was born at Kunjalala, where we're going on Friday. He was born there. My grandmother used to work for squires, for the people that took her from the tribe when she was a little girl to work in the house. And then she worked for people called Foots. First day of our tour that started this morning at Springsure, and this is our first night camped out at the Buckland camp. Tomorrow we'll do Tandera and Kakamundi, and we'll camp again tomorrow night. And then we'll go to Salvador Rosa Friday morning.
It was Dad, because we never had a mum growing up. Dad raised us by himself, and he faced so many problems. You know, the fact that he was a single Aboriginal man with 3 kids, and you know, we saw him go through all them problems. You know, we saw every issue that arose, but I mean, we always stood by Dad because, you know, it was just Dad's way of doing things.
Put that in four-wheel drive, I'm going to go behind me. You can go ahead, Linda.
When we were kids, we didn't like him. He was so strict. He was a very, very strict father. But now, after having children myself, I really thank him for the way he raised us. I mean, of all the times we got in trouble, I mean, but we were pretty smart kids too. We knew if we were doing something wrong, if we were going to get in strife for it. But Dad, he had a great mentality in raising us. He basically taught us everything that we needed to know to go out in the world.
If you take on your father and you've got 4 kids, and you've got one was 6 and others 3, other ones are under 5-year-old. And you're on your own and you've got a lot of worries and troubles, and you've got to work. You've got a lot to put up with. You employ someone to look after the kids while you're at work.
This is a better job for me. This is what I like doing. So eventually, once I learn everything from Dad that I need to really learn, and it's basically just spending all the time I can with him. And but yeah, he's got his way of doing things where he'll either let you experience it yourself, or if he knows from experience himself, he'll show you how to do it or tell you how to do it.
I loved them because they were my kids. I kept them and I reared them. You know, I give them everything I could give them. Well, I did. I loved them. I still love them. But I'm not that emotional type of person. Yeah. Apparently that's part of my trouble.
He is a good father. I mean, he raised us really well. When Dad he's had a couple of major heart attacks, and when he had his very first one, he nearly died. I mean, he probably should have died. And he rang me up. It was really funny because he rang me up and he was sort of a bit nervous, I could tell, and we were just talking, and he was telling me how he was going and whatnot. And it was only a couple of days after surgery, and he was just sort of getting back on the mend. And he basically told me that he loved me.
I was 40, I was when I first seen the first bark burials. It was at Mulliamba. You climbed up this fig tree and went into the cave, and there was 5 bark burials in that one cave. It was unbelievable, the work of art. I'd say to the blokes, we're not much to today, and I said, what are you going to do? I'm going to ride around and look at caves. And that's what we did. Some of the blokes, there was 5 of us in the camp. One bloke would come with me, or 2 might come with me. Other fellows just lay in the camp. They weren't interested in it, but we'd go and we'd look for all those sort of things. And it's marvellous what we found. You look at those bark burials and it'll say, like you look at them bark burials and you look at the way they bury people today, and you must, I think, well, by God, them old Aboriginal people respected their dead. They had a great respect for their dead, and look at the work they put into them bloody bark burials. It's unbelievable. This is the keeping place. It was opened and built in 1997, and it was opened on the 15th of November 1997. Inside there's 3 Aboriginal bark burials. Would come back from the museum, and we couldn't put them back in the cage because we got about 140 up in the ranges there, but been destroyed over the last 20 odd 30 years, 50 years. They've been destroyed by people. This is the best way of looking after them. So now we'll go inside and show you and talk about what's inside. Opening up the keeping place to show the tourists. The bones of 3 bodies in there, and there's 1 body in this other little box up here. Well, they made that 8-ply out of that stringy bark. You notice how well it's been made, and it's 580 year old. And that was a tribal massacre. There was 4 male there and 8 female, and 1 baby with no teeth. It was born, it was buried, it was wrapped up in the cylinder with its mother. Most of the baby coffins are made up of a coolie bar or a blue gum. They wrap the babies up in possum skins, and they plait the human hair to wrap it up around their own hair. Yes, culture, bloody chips everywhere. I look at the Aboriginal culture, like I showed you yesterday, somebody's got to respect them and look after them. And it's the same thing when we go out at mine sites and we pick up all the artefacts that's left behind. That's our artefacts. We should be looking after it. This has been a little hammerstone. And what do you just... They use that for breaking them other ones. You know where to go down? I'll come over there. I'll poke over there and I'll sing out to you. Make sure you're doing the right thing. I look at this Aboriginal paintings and culture, what's left behind. Even with the European culture, what's left behind. It's our history, and it's very important, and it's got to be looked after. If people don't respect it and don't look after it, it's going to be gone forever.
Mummy, come on.
And you bring children out here, school children out here, and you show them them bark burials. Most of them are very interested in it. And then you show them that you take them to that second site there at Glenrock. You see the change in them. It's unbelievable. And when you take them to Tandera and they look at what's at Tandera, You can see the change in these little children.
Well, when they start asking questions, they ask you the questions. Some questions, well, I can't answer, but they ask you questions about, and they've never seen those things, and they didn't know how the Aboriginal people. They don't know what Aboriginal people, all this stencil art and all that. All they've seen it in books. They've never seen it on a wall, sandstone wall, and it sort of blows them away. Here's one where they broke. See that one there? This here, Mick, is a grinding dish. It's been all broken up, and this is the grinding stone. It's been broken up too, or that may have been the way they had it. We don't know. And when they leave these things behind, they put the grinding stone down on the ground, and then they turn the dish over on top of it and leave it there. They come back and camp there in the next 6 or 7 months. They'll come back around and the grinding dish and everything's there. They don't carry them around with them. The only thing they carry around with them when they move camp is the fire. Most of these art sites, these burial sites, are in a cave and they've got rocks in front of them. And there's some of them we have never opened them up and we never told anybody about them. Well, that's what I'm doing, trying to pass it on to knowledge, pass on what I know and what I've learnt from my old people, and I just like to pass it down. I wouldn't like to see these tours die, and I'd like to see them kept going because this Tandera and Kakamundi, Bun Canoe art sites, they're pretty special to me. It's very dear to my heart when I go to Bun Canoe, and it gives me, I get a very special feeling when I get to Bun Canoe. I don't know really why. The spirits seem to haunt me when I get there. And of course, maybe because my grandmother come from Nadu. My grandmother was Nadu Magi, and this is where she came from, this country. How I come to start running tours, I was the president of the Fitzroy Basin Aboriginal Elders. And we were a meeting with the Fitzroy Basin Mainstream and the water mob. And they were talking, the meeting was about water and salinity around the mouth of the river, around Thompson's Point and that area. And I got a bit upset. I told them that, why don't they look at where the problems start? I said, that's at the head of the river system. From that day on, a great white light body was running the NHD program at
That wasn't here last year.
in Rocky for the Fitzroy Basin Elders, and they said, well, we'd like to see that country, so that was our first tour. Good water, good fishing hole down there. If you like fishing. Silkreach, that rock is there. It's pretty poor silkreach. That's the stuff the Aboriginals make all their tools out of. You look right across here in this sandstone where the wagons here be pulled by bullocks and horses. They'd have about 90 bales of wool on them. They come in from Longridge, Blackhall, and went right through this way down in towards Ralston, shot over into Rocky. They used to they'd have about 3 teams, if they had bullocks, they'd have 2 or 3 teams of bullocks, drove them along with them. They do about 6 to 7 mile a day. My dad was seeing all those sort of things. He was born in 1887. Yeah, they're still doing it in the
My dad was born down here. That's where that grave is, the homestead is there, somewhere around there. This here, Will, is where your grandfather and grandmother lived when I was born in 1930, 34, 31, 32, 33, 34. We lived here. This was Yanderborough, and that was a part of the old homestead. The real whole homestead, they built another new one over in an area just over there. Billy Tuckett built that, and that was the old butcher shop. Used to be there. There used to be bark, made of bark, and bark roof and hessian walls with brown paper plastered on it. That was a long time ago. There was no sawmills or nothing around here. They built these old huts out of bush timber, and they used to cut the bark off the trees to make the roof out of it. And they used to lay the roof down, and then they used to wire it down with put a rail along the top of it, rail underneath and rail on top, and wire it all down. That was a long time ago. So when Dad was bringing us up in the 30s, there was a bloody depression on. And there was thousands of bloody people, who were men and walking, carrying their swags. Where we lived in Springshire, it was just up from where the train used to come in Wednesdays and Saturdays, and all the people used to get off all the hobos, they'd get off the train before our place, and they'd walk past our place to go into town. You know, and some would pull in and ask for a bloody cup of tea or something like that. You know. Grew up as horsemen, and pretty good at that, and pretty good cattleman. Well, might be skiting a bit, but we started, when we were kids, we used to go to Jim Carner's, and they used to have potty rides and bullock rides. We used to nominate in the potty rides, the bullock rides, and then you used to take along young buck jumper and ride him, and that's how that started. Back around 40, 45, 46 and that. They used to have these Jim Carters to get money for the Red Cross. It comes to you naturally. If it's bred in you, well, it'll come out. You know? Or you just get on and hope for the best. And I just happen to be good at it.
Now, yeah, it's really hard for him now that he's old, because Dad was always so active. I mean, he was still mustering wild cattle and chasing bulls when he was 62 or something. You know, I saw him step off to a bull. I mean, that's really amazing to see an old man do.
We met him in the ranges on the Springshire side with 500 head of ballies strung along a beaten path. In the lead was riding rough rider of renown, Springshire drover Lindsay Black. Black boy Colin Button swung him down a watercourse, perched up on an old crow bait that Lindsay called a horse. Next I saw the plant horses coming. You swear they ran on diesel, for in behind them riding madly was a drunken duck and weasel. Now we were on the road to Injune, which took about 3 weeks. 11 miles outside the town we camped at Hutton's Creek. That night I wished for some dry place, some shelter in some town. As I sat up on my swag, the rain come tumbling down. Now Lindsay had it as a fly. He said, "Here boys, make yourself a lean-to which it really was. But when the thunder boomed, we had to lean to one another to make some flaming room." Now Percy went to scratch himself. He elbowed Cecil in the mouth, and Button went to stretch himself, and he kicked poor Weasel out. And comfortably, sound asleep, in the middle was Lindsay. This Duncan Weasel that wrote that, he never wrote nothing down. He just made it all up, and he had dozens of poems, and he had them in his head. You know? And I learned it off him. He used to recite it, and I recited with him. you got to respect yourself, you know. Somebody says your best friend is your dog. Well, that could be right too, but if you respect yourself and respect other people, well, you'll get on good in life. A few flies around us today, by Christ. That's the green grass. Fly beat me to the last of that tea. I'm not going to ring him out.